And now to China, Chairman. You say the FBI is withholding information on Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, specifically on his longstanding ties to Communist China and whether he interacted with affiliates of the Chinese Communist Party. We know that Walz lived and taught high school in China, visited more than 30 times, even honeymooned there on the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. He reportedly once described communism as a system where everyone shares and everyone is equal and it's good. Congressman, in your letter to the FBI Director Chris Wray, you also point out that Walz appointed a man with alleged CCP ties to a Minnesota state board. Tell us more about this. What are you expecting from Tim Walz when it comes to communist China?
Well, based on the number of times that Tim Walz has been to China, based on the fact that China has a pretty big footprint in his state, we find it hard to believe that the FBI doesn't have some type of file on Tim Walz. He's been going too many times over too many years, dating back to when he was in the National Guard. None of this makes sense, and this is the type of person that the FBI would have a file on.
The only evidence the chairman has on Tim Walz in China is that maybe he visited a Panda Express once and he liked it. That's it. That's what's going on here. So I don't want to hear about bipartisanship on China. We were there, and then the chairman just goes all over TV and wants to accuse the Walz family of basically being spies for China with no evidence. And look, I appreciate the kind words the chairman said about me on Newsmax the other day, calling me the court jester, so thank you, my liege. Appreciate that. But he said something else that I think really sums up what this committee has done. The chairman went on and said, "My job was never to impeach." Well, that is interesting. So for 2 years, almost 2 years, we have sat here. Well, we have run impeachment hearings. Well, we have had cameras, hundreds of interviews, millions of dollars to spend. And now the chairman finally says, my job was never to impeach. He only says that because it didn't work out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Mr. Sessions. I think the threat of China is real. That's why I voted for the China Select Committee. And I would also like to come up with bipartisan solutions. But unfortunately, that's not what the chairman is doing with this issue. Tim Walz was announced as the vice presidential candidate, and immediately the chairman opens up an investigation into the vice president. In fact, the chairman goes on to say China has a vice presidential candidate who has gone on record praising the country as one of his rationales for opening this investigation and sending letters to the FBI. Doesn't sound bipartisan, trying to get to the root of the China issue. But of course, you know, as we're doing that, you know, I'll do, just to remind the chairman, just a quick spirited reading of some of the things that President Trump has said. China's been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency. It will all work out well. In particular, on behalf of the American people, I want to thank President Xi. Trump again. I just spoke to President Xi last night, and you all know he's working on the problem, the virus. It's a very tough situation, but I think he's going to handle it. I think he handled it really well. We're helping where we can. Another Trump quote. Just had a very long conversation with President Xi on the phone. He's strong, sharp, powerful, focused on leading the counterattack on the coronavirus. He feels they're doing very well, building hospitals in a matter of days. Great discipline is taking place in China as President Xi strongly leads what will be a very successful operation. We're working closely with China to help. More Trump. I think China is very, professionally run in a sense, and that they have everything under control. I really believe they're going to have it under control very soon. In April, supposedly it'll die with hotter weather. That's a beautiful date to look forward to. But China, I can tell you, is working very hard. More Trump. We have very few people with it, and are getting better. They're all getting better. The whole situation will work out. I think China has it really shut down. And I bring all of that up because all of those things, all of the praising of Xi, this is the rationale that the chairman has used to do other stuff. The chairman went on Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo and said, yeah, the Walz family, that's a scary family there.
Here's Tim Walz's wife. Watch this.
What Kamala Harris told us we had to do was we had to turn the page, right? But I kind of liked it when she did this. Turn the page. You like that? Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we going to do? We're going to turn the page. turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump.
Congressman, they're turning the page from what? Kamala's been in charge. Donald Trump is not running the country and has been out of office since 2020.
Yeah, that's a scary family there. I mean, it looks like the type of family that's been indoctrinated, and they believe that there's a better way to do business. And, with some of the things that the Walzes have said about China, their affection for China, that's very concerning to me, because we don't want to set our business model like China's.
If you look at Maria's face, it looked like she vomited, it came up, and then she swallowed it again as the chairman was talking about that. Okay, I'm sure the American people think Gwen Walz is really scary. The chairman went on to say that, Walz is very concerning to me because we don't want to set our business model like China. Of course, Trump always has a quote or a tweet for that. Trump said, she's now president for life, right? And that's great. And look, he was able to do that, and I think it's great. Maybe we will do the same. Huh, that's interesting. That sounds like Trump looking at the Chinese model and wanting to copy it, which is what the chairman said about Tim Walz. So I'm just curious, is the chairman going to open up an investigation into Donald Trump wanting to copy the Chinese model, which is what he accused Tim Walz of? We know the answer. More Trump about President Xi. We love each other. And so, knowing how this committee has conducted investigations, knowing the evidence that they've manufactured or the witnesses they've had to deal with, the only evidence the chairman has on Tim Walz in China is that maybe he visited a Panda Express once and he liked it. That's it. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have my staff send this to your office. I would love for you to sign it, and I'm going to hang it in my office as a reminder, okay, of what this committee was used for. Okay, so I don't want to hear about bipartisanship when they destroyed this committee over nonsense for 2 years. I yield back.
My. Here we are for the third installment of the Defending America from the CCP's Political Warfare. After the chairman's impeachment investigation revealed zero connections between President Biden and Chinese businesses, he nonetheless shockingly views the nakedly partisan political sham impeachment as a success. Why? Because President Biden dropped out of the presidential race. Now, that is a blatant admission that this committee was used improperly for partisan purposes. But that failure has not stopped the chairman from continuing down this road. Now that Governor Tim Walz is on the ticket, Chairman Comer has quickly pivoted to focus this committee's resource on Governor Walz's time teaching English in China, insinuating that somehow that is a problem. But the American people know which presidential candidate is a danger to our national security. And it is the one who accepts millions of dollars from foreign governments while he is president. And it is the one who sucks up to dictators and despots all around the world, who cannot even say that the democratic country of Ukraine should win the war against Vladimir Putin. So this, unfortunately, while an important topic, is a waste of time as we sit 6 weeks before the election. And as usual, we could have been doing so many better things with our time. I yield back.